You'll rise again, like a phoenix. I promise, I'll always be by your side. I'm Rain. This is my story of how I found both purpose and chaos. My teenage years were anything but simple. 2 younger brothers, 2 younger sisters, and a mother who walked out, leaving us behind with a father drowning in his alcoholism. There wasn't time to grieve, to process, to stop. I only had one desire, to build something bigger than myself, something that could lift my siblings out of this mess. When Alex and I started playing music, it became clear, this was the path. My dream crystallized in one powerful declaration. Make it big in a rock band. Nothing else mattered. It was all-consuming, a fire that burned brighter with every practice, every setback, every sleepless night. The fight to make it was brutal, but it gave me focus. It gave me hope. Then, one ordinary day, something extraordinary happened. She walked into my life. I saw her in the classroom, and in that instant, my future, my carefully laid plans, my very reality, shifted. The light she carried wasn't blinding, it was magnetic. The gears of my destiny began turning, setting me on a collision course with the unexpected. Luna. The moment I saw her, everything else faded. Time froze, classmates disappeared, and the world narrowed to just the 2 of us in the classroom. I didn't understand what I felt then, but that fleeting emotion carved its place deep in my soul. Later, when I learned she was auditioning as a vocalist, that emotion crystallized into certainty. We'll make a miracle happen. From that day, we formed a rock band, pouring ourselves into rehearsals day after day. The rhythm of music turned into the rhythm of our lives, pulling us into an unstoppable spiral of success. As our reputation grew in the local scene, destiny handed us a chance, a performance at the summer festival. It felt like the world was rooting for us, spinning in sync with our dreams. For the first time in our lives, everything felt possible. We were invincible. But even invincibility has its moments of vulnerability. The day before the festival, nerves hung heavy in the air. For me, excitement wasn't just about the music, it was about the people I wanted to inspire. My 4 younger brothers were beside themselves with pride, looking at me like I was a hero. And then there was my father, the man who brought them to see me play. Something had changed in him. He had stopped drinking, found steady work, and turned into the kind, steady father they had always deserved. That summer festival wasn't just a performance. It was proof, a spiral of miracles unfolding before us. Success seemed so close we could taste it, but back then, we were naive enough to believe every success story ended with a happily ever after. One day, Alex broke the fragile optimism of our world with a single revelation. His voice was steady, but his words carried the weight of the adult world. The record company wants to debut a new female vocalist, Sophia. They say that if I produce her, they'll give beautiful minorities more support than ever before. It was a deal steeped in adult matters, the kind of negotiation Alex was built to navigate. But me? I was lost in the tide of his words, unsure of where we'd land. What was the right answer? Could there even be one? I swallowed my uncertainty, clinging to the only thought that felt tangible. Go as far as you can. For now. I told him, my tone sharp tinged with doubt. They'll keep their promise, won't they? You, me, and Constantine, all 3 of us backing Sophia as members of beautiful minorities. You know how Luna feels about this, right? My question hung heavy in the air. I looked at him, searching for clarity, but he offered none. Silence stretched before he finally spoke, his voice subdued, his burden laid bare. I'll make sure they keep their promise. It's all my responsibility. That moment defined us. It was the crossroads of dreams and reality, where idealism gave way to compromise, and the weight of adulthood threatened to crush the innocence we once had. Success has a strange way of testing loyalty. When Sophia's fame soared beyond our wildest expectations, it wasn't just her career that stood on the edge, it was all of ours. Sophia had tapped into the pulse of the music industry, riding the magic that only the chosen few could touch. But while she climbed, Luna was unraveling. The call from Constantine confirmed what I had feared. Luna's struggling. Her mental health's fragile. Maybe we should skip joining Sophia's tour. I knew what Constantine meant, and yet, my mind was already spinning. I called Alex immediately. His response was firm, almost mechanical. This is the last tour. Let's just get through it. My unease only grew. What about after the tour, Alex? Can we, just once, go back to how we used to be? You, me, Luna. Talking about music, nothing else. He hesitated, then finally whispered, "Okay, after the tour." Not now. His words echoed with the weight of compromise. He was trying, in his own way, to carry the band's future on his shoulders. And me? I was caught in the undertow, powerless to stop the tide. As Sophia's tour loomed closer, I retreated to my parents' home, a sanctuary I hadn't visited in years. My father, now a man transformed, filled the house with quiet warmth. My younger brothers laughed and played, one of them even picking up a bass, mimicking the passion I had once shown. My brother, who looks just like me, Shine. For a fleeting moment, I saw the innocence of who I had been and the hope of who he could become. But reality wouldn't wait for me to linger. It pulled me back, reminding me of the fractured world I had to return to, a world where I couldn't fix anything, no matter how hard I tried. All I wanted was to save Luna, to lift her from the shadows that threatened to swallow her. But no one seemed to share my urgency. Not Alex, not Constantine, not even the echo of my own convictions. The night before the concert, I made my choice. When I told Constantine I'd drive myself to the venue, he tried to argue, his voice a blur against my resolve. I couldn't hear him. Instead, I found myself at my usual bar, alone until dawn, drowning in the weight of decisions I couldn't make. And then, as the sun broke the horizon, I drove to the concert venue with one promise in my heart. Luna, once this tour is over, I'll never leave you again. I'm Rain. This is our story.
Close your eyes, hold my hand. We'll become the start and one. This is us, it's our route to go around. Open my heart, hold you high. Sing a lullaby to you on the road. You remember there is tomorrow beyond the certain sun. Way back home with you. Travel everyday happiness. We'll spend this till next to the end. Where will you be me? Seasons that change many times. What doesn't change in the memory we stand. We already know again and again. Life is back here again someday. Beautiful smile. I know who you are, even if you look different. Nobody knows our origin. You never disappear from my memory. No matter matter what. Only when we overload can we become a space. Now you turn, you know, maybe you can see the future. Always by your side, this is our fate. I sing this song for whom do we want to sing it? That's how we make history. As long as you want it. Way back home with you, trying for everyday happiness. We'll spin this to you next to the end. Where will you be me? Seasons that change many times. It doesn't change in the memory we spin on the earth. Night on the earth.